Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to my channel, Pediatric Classes. Today, we are going to discuss an important topic that is MISC, that is Multi-System Inflammatory Syndrome in children. As you are aware, the number of COVID cases are increasing. So, simultaneously, what we are seeing is a number of MISC, that is Multi-System Inflammatory Syndrome in children. Such cases are also increasing. So, I will give you a short account of the disease. Now, so if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to the channel Pediatric Classes. So now I'll start sharing my screen. Okay. So this cases were first reported in UK in April 2019. This is considered a syndrome, that is MISC or multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children. As the name implies, it is considered as a syndrome. It's a group of signs and symptoms, but not a disease that appears to be linked to the coronavirus disease. So there you see it may present to you with varied manifestations like persistent fever, organ system involvement like GI or mucocutaneous, cardiac signs, symptoms, etc. Different system which we will discuss in detail after some slides. And they will also have elevated inflammatory markers. Coming to the etiology, the exact cause of this is not fully known, but excessive immune response related to the COVID-19 plays a major role. Now the question arises, why only in some children that they are having a excess immune response culminating in MISC? So it has been found that this depends on the interferon response. So if the child is getting an infection and the interferon response is good, what happens? The virus gets cleared easier. So there is less inflammation in the body and culminating in a milder disease. Whereas if the child is getting infected and the interferon response is poor, then there will be delayed viral clearing. So the inflammatory response will be more and there will be severe disease. Coming to the clinical features, they have, as I told earlier, they have varied manifestation, but remember, fever is one of the major manifestations, then acute abdominal pain, diarrhea, vomiting. They may present you with fatigue, rash, swollen hands and feet, strawberry tongue. They may have conjunctival hemorrhage or conjunctival inflammation. They may have breathlessness, or they may even present you with myocarditis, heart failure, LV dysfunction. Many children are found to have bradycardia, shock, and they also thrombus formation. If you actually investigate for the children, they may present you with altered mental status and or even seizures. Coming to the case definition of this MISC, there are two case definitions. One is by WHO, another thing is by CDC. I'll try to put it in two charts about it. WHO says in a child aged 0 to 19 years, the fever is more than 3 days, accompanied by any two of the following. That means if the baby is having a rash with bilateral non-purulent conjunctivitis or mucocutaneous inflammatory signs, including the oral area or hands or feet, or the baby is having hypotension or shock, there is cardiac dysfunction or pericarditis, valvulitis, or coronary abnormalities, even including echocardiogram findings or elevated troponin or BNP. Many of the centers, it has been found that the BNP has got a higher sensitive index than the troponin. If there is an evidence of coagulopathy like prolonged PT or PTT or elevated T dimer, or if there is acute GI symptoms, that is diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal pain. So the point to note here is if any two of the following is present in a case, we have to consider a diagnosis of this. That means even our Kawasaki disease will come as a close differential diagnosis for this. For example, if there is rash and there is hypotension, or if there's or hypertension, or the baby present you cardiac dysfunction, or if the patient comes to you having an abdominal pain, but also having some signs or symptoms of shock, consider in this time, consider a diagnosis of MIS. There should be lab evidence of inflammation. Not only those, but two of the following plus lab evidence of inflammation like raised ESR, CRP, or procalcitonin. Many of the centers, ESR is not found to be very much reliable, but CRP, high CRP with all the above features, you have to be careful. And there is no alternate diagnosis, including a bacterial sepsis, or staphylococcal, streptococcal, or toxic shock syndrome, and evidence of SARS-CoV infection in the any of the following. Like for example, the child may have a positive RT-PCR or a positive serology. That means the child is currently having COVID or would have had COVID before, a positive antigen test, or a contact with an individual with COVID-19. So if there is an evidence of SARS-CoV infections, we have to consider the diagnosis of MIS. So this is about the WHO thing. I repeat, in WHO, the case definition says 0 to 19 years with fever more than 3 days. Here is the difference between the WHO and CDC. Coming to the CDC, the age definition, they have taken up to 21 years and fever even single day, or even a subjective sensation of fever lasting more than 24 hours is taken as a criteria by CDC. So that is the difference between the WHO and CDC. The CDC says even up to 21 age group is included, and even history of fever of more than 38 degrees Celsius for more than 24 hours is taken as the one of the criteria, with multi-system or more than 2 organ involvement like cardiac or renal or respiratory, hematologic, GI, dermatologic, or neurological, with lab evidence of inflammation like elevated CRP, ESR, fibrinogen, procalcitonin, D-dimer, ferritin, LDH or interleukin-6, and elevated neutrophils, reduced lymphocytes, and low albumin. So that is the difference. Actually, there is a reduced lymphocytes. In all case of viral disease, you will see there is elevated lymphocytes, whereas in a case of COVID infection, we will have reduced lymphocytes and they will also have elevated neutrophils. There's no alternate plausible diagnosis, and the patient is currently positive for current or recent SARS-CoV-2 infection by RT-PCR, serology or antigen test, or even an exposure to COVID-19 within the 4 weeks prior to symptoms is also taken into account by the CDC criteria. Now, coming to what are the emergency warning signs of MIS, there can be severe stomach pain, difficulty in breathing, bluish lips or face, inability to wake up or stay awake, or new confusion is taken as emergency warning signs of MIS. Coming to the complications, heart failure, LV dysfunction, respiratory distress. There can be coronary artery involvement either in the form of dilatation or even full-blown aneurysms. Acute kidney injury can be there, and there is a risk of increased blood coagulation. So whenever such patients comes, we have to, other than the inflammatory markers, other than the investigation there, we have to definitely rule out, we have to definitely do an echocardiography also. Then coming to the close differential diagnosis, Kawasaki disease, as I mentioned earlier, comes as a very close differential diagnosis for this. Then staphylococcal scalded skin syndrome, again with the rash and all the toxic features. Toxic shock syndrome, SLE bar vasculitis about the rash. Then dengue. But the point in dengue, what happens in MIS, we will get elevated neutrophils with reduced lymphocytes, whereas in dengue, ASIS, the counts will be less, but in that we'll get a related lymphocytosis early. And ESR in MIS will be elevated, whereas in dengue, most of the ESR will be less, because ESR in dengue is a case of hemoconcentration. In shock, any cases maybe sepsis, any other case of shock can present as a close differential diagnosis for MIS, and any case of acute abdomen. So MIS is a very difficult thing. So consider a diagnosis of MIS in cases presenting with the above symptoms. Now coming to the diagnostic algorithm. So any patient presenting you with fever with a GI or shock or acute abdomen or CNS involvement, we have to do the investigation. Of that, if the ESR is more than 40 and CRP is more than 60, with any of the following. If there is like that, we will do neutrophilia, ALC less than 1000, the platelets are less than 1.5 lakh per milliliter cube, or sodium is decreased, and if the serum albumin is decreased. So these are the investigation, the first year of the investigation. So in the counts, when you do, you will get a neutrophilia. Lymphocytes will be less than thousands. The platelet will be less than 1.5. So sodium will be less, and also the albumin will be less. If with any of the following, if it is there, then you have to go for the second line investigation like TROP-T or NT-proBNP, D-dimers, PT-INRs, ferritin, procalcitonin, LDH, and IL-6. So all cases need a proper echo evaluation to detect any LV dysfunction or thrombus or coronary artery abnormalities. So coming to the treatment for this is the mainstay of treatment is immunomodulation. We can either use IVIG or we can use methylprednisolone. If you are using IVIG, it is used in the dosage of 2 grams per kg over 8 to 12 hours. If the patient is having cardiac dysfunction with pulmonary edema and all, you can give it over longer duration. Or you can go for methylprednisolone. The initial dose will be 30 milligram per kg for 3 days, followed by 2 milligram per kg for 1 week. Then, if the CRP is normal at the end of 1 week, we can taper the methylprednisolone dose over 2 to 3 weeks. In many centers, when I was going through different studies and different protocols, one of the protocols is found to be very useful as the SCT protocol. In that, from the data from the SCT, what they have found is most of the cases they are given methylprednisolone unless the patient is having a KD like which is associated. So they have found a very good response with methylprednisolone. So that comes to another thing, what is meant by refractory MIS. If the fever is persisting beyond 36 hours after the first dose of IVIG, that is actually called as refractory MIS. There the treatment of choice will be a combination of both IVIG and steroids. If you have not used IVIG before, you have to combine with IVIG and steroids. Other options include cytokine blockers like tocilizumab, which is an IL-6 blocker, anakinra, IL-1 blocker. You can go for infliximab, TNF-alpha inhibitors, cyclophosphamide, etc. Then, other supportive treatments, we use aspirin. But before using aspirin, we have to make sure that the LFT is normal and the minimum platelet of at least 80,000 is there. The anti-inflammatory dose, as you all know, is 30 to 50 mg per kg per day till the fever subsides, and then reduce the dose to 3 to 5 mg per kg per day. Here again, if it is associated with the KD like witches, then you have to go for MIS with KD. Yes, anti-inflammatory dose should be started till the fever subsides and then reduce to the anti-platelet dose. Otherwise, you can start directly with anti-platelet dose also of 3 to 5 mg per kg for 4 to 6 weeks. If the echo is abnormal, you may have to continue even longer. Then anticoagulation, in case of MIS with hepatic dysfunction, we have to start with low molecular weight heparin and then change later to aspirin. In a MIS with cardiac dysfunction, yes, you have to give low molecular weight heparin because there's high chance of thrombus formation and go for low molecular weight heparin. Mostly it is given in the dose of 1 grams per kg BVD subcute. MIS with thrombus or a large coronary artery aneurysm, we may have to give a combination of LMDWH and heparin. What is the role of antibiotics here? Whenever we are coming, the patient is coming, we generally start on empirical antibiotics. Ceftriaxone is a good choice. We have to add metronidazole if there is GI involvement, or we can consider empirical therapy of ceftriaxone plus Clinda. The SAT protocol recommends ceftriaxone plus Clinda because that will rule out all this or take care of if at all some toxic shock syndrome is there. Then we have to add doxycycline if leptospirosis or scrub typhus is suspected. Coming to the use of inotropes. Inotropes are used in children with cardiac dysfunction and hypotension. So what is the inotrope of choice? That depends upon whether the LV dysfunction is present or not. Mostly they are seeing wide pulse pressure shock. If it is associated or rather if there is no LV dysfunction, go for noradrenaline. But if it is a wide pulse pressure shock with an LV dysfunction, you have to give adrenaline. What is the role of this antiviral treatment remdesivir in case of MIS? Literature review shows that it is used only to those who are known to be PCR positive at the or with the presentation consistent with the typical COVID-19. But many of the center protocol says there's no much role there. If we are giving it, it is given at a dose of 5 mg per kg loading followed by 2.5 mg per kg IV daily for 9 days. It has been found that it is not exactly the viremia which actually causes all the symptoms of MIS, but it is the excess or exaggerated immune response. So here again, I would like to stress that the immunomodulation plays a major role in cases of MIS than the antiviral treatment. So that is in short about the MIS or multisystem inflammatory syndrome in children. Hope it was useful for you. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel Pediatric Classes. Thank you and stay safe.